Hey guys, it's your favorite medical channel, Medicosis Perfectionalis, with another rheumatology video to add to my rheumatology playlist. In previous videos, we have talked about the articular and extra-articular manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis. Today, let's talk about Caplan Syndrome. When you have rheumatoid arthritis, seropositive to be specific, and you have rheumatoid nodules in the lung, those are large and cavitary, and you have co-workers pneumoconiosis. This is called Caplan Syndrome, which is the topic of today's video. With that being said, now let's get started. Who can solve this riddle? It's a medical equation. CS equals CWP plus RN plus RA. Do you know? Please pause and let me know the answer in the comment. By the way, RN does not stand for registered nurse, okay? Just to be clear. So here is the story. First, we'll start simple, then we'll make it more complicated. CS equals CWP plus RN plus RA. Caplan syndrome is a triad of co-worker pneumoconiosis plus rheumatoid nodules. It's not one nodule, it's probably nodules. And rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, easy. Let's make it harder. Caplan syndrome is complicated co-workers pneumoconiosis because there are two types of co-worker pneumoconiosis. There is the simple one and there is the complicated one. This is also known as mine dust pneumoconiosis. That's an archaic term. Plus rheumatoid nodules, be specific, large, cavitating rheumatoid nodules. Where? On the elbow? No, in the lung. Plus rheumatoid arthritis, just any rheumatoid? No, seropositive. What do you mean by seropositive? It's either positive for rheumatoid factor or positive for anti-CCP or both. So again, Caplan syndrome, complicated co-worker pneumoconiosis, large cavitating rheumatoid nodules in the lung, and seropositive rheumatoid arthritis, period, end of issue. Let's talk about co-workers pneumoconiosis. First, you inhale, okay? Alright, has to be inhalation of coal dust. Could be from coal mine or from tobacco smoke. And let's be very clear. I'm not talking about chewing tobacco. Why not? Because chewing is absorbed through the oral mucosa and some of it is swallowed, but it's not inhaled, so it doesn't count. So you're saying that chewing tobacco is healthy? It's not, but it doesn't cause co-workers pneumoconiosis. Get your head out of your sphincter. I'm talking about tobacco smoke, and this does not include cigars. Why not? Because cigars are absorbed through the oral mucosa and maybe some of it is swallowed, so it's not inhaled. So you're saying that it's okay to smoke cigars? Shut up! I'm not saying that, but I'm saying what causes co-workers pneumoconiosis is specifically the cigarette, the tobacco smoke. Because in science we have to be very specific. Inhaled, lungs. Pulmonary anthracosis, that's usually asymptomatic. Anthracosis is very different from anthrax. One has nothing to do with the other. Anthracosis, alveolar macrophages will go crazy. Engulf this anthracosis pigment, which is dark, leading to formation of dust cells. What are the dust cells? Same alveolar macrophages after swallowing the anthracosis pigment. Silica may play a role, so silica may lead to co-workers pneumoconiosis. We can divide co-workers pneumoconiosis into simple and complicated. Simple, you have just some nodules in the upper lobe, and you might have centri-acinar emphysema, which is an obstructive lung disease. Alright, that's not so bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not so bad. Wait until you hear the complicated. You have again nodules in the upper lung. Progressive massive fibrosis. Your whole lung is history called black lung from the fibrous tissue and the fibrosis and all of the crazy stuff. And as you know, progressive fibrosis of the lung is a restrictive lung disease, not an obstructive one. Can you have centri-acinar emphysema as a reaction? Why not? And Caplan syndrome is here. It has to be the complicated co-worker pneumoconiosis. So let's say that you have a mine worker coming to your clinic and he has problems from working in the mine. You might assume just because he works in the mine he has the complicated one. No. Most of them has the simple one. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but this is very different from the complicated one. Let's have some fun with biostatistics and economics. People ask, Is nuclear power safe? Is working in a mine safe? Are antibiotics safe? Is chemotherapy safe? Is surgery safe? Well, the answer is no. Nothing is completely safe on the face of this planet. The question is compared to what? One of the economists tried to find what's the risk of your life of various kinds of activities. Risk to your life means like death or fatality or something. So, living within 5 miles of a nuclear power plant for half a century is equivalent to driving just for 10 minutes on an interstate highway. Really? Yes. Equivalent to spending half an hour in a coal mine, equivalent to spending 6 minutes in a boating canoe. Yet there are many nice people in their canoes worried about the dangers of nuclear power. Some perspective, please. There are many pulmonologists who drive on the highway for 45 minutes every day, who will never step foot in a coal mine. And when you ask them why, they respond, "Haven't you heard of coal workers' pneumoconiosis? I am an expert in these matters." Well, sir, haven't you heard of car accidents? Get your head out of your sphincter. Also, there are many pathology professors who lecture you about lung pathology while driving for 60 minutes every day. And heaven forbid if they hear that there is a nuclear power plant that will be built 50 miles from their house. My goodness, stupidity has no limit. Look, guys, I know you're doctors and you care about health. Me too. But do you think that the guy who is illiterate works in a coal mine to support his wife and 4 kids really enjoys working in a coal mine? Of course not. He likes it because it pays well. Believe me, if he had a better alternative, he would have quit his coal mine job in a second. But if you only look at the safety issue in absolute terms, and then you write a letter for a politician urging him or her to shut the coal mine, and the politician did it, what do you think the poor guy who can't read or write will do for a living? Compete with Jeff Bezos? Give me a break. He might work as a truck driver, which could be more riskier to his life, or he might get divorced and become a heroin addict so that you can be happy that the incidence of pneumoconiosis is decreasing. Awful stuff. This happens because some of us, unfortunately, care more about a number on a spreadsheet rather than flesh and blood human beings. Your job is to take care of people, guide people, educate people, not to yell at them and make their life worse. And later in my videos about biostatistics, I will tell you about the pharmaceutical drug representative coming to your office and informing you that his new drug decreases the incidence of heart disease. Most of the time, he is conflating absolute risk reduction with relative risk reduction. The question is not, does the new drug reduces the risk of thrombosis? The question is the new drug better than warfarin in reducing the risk of thrombosis? Because, dear salesman, if your drug is not superior to warfarin and it costs 10 times more than warfarin, then you should get the flip out of here, even if you have great pizza. Because I studied biostatistics. Wisdom is to balance risk versus reward. Rhetoric is to just yell without evidence. Risk, my friends, equal hazard time probability. Yes, nuclear power is hazardous, but the probability of you dying because of nuclear power is minimal, is minuscule, is very, very, very low. Many of you will spend time in a car on a highway without thinking about it while thinking about the horror of nuclear energy. Some perspective, please. So here's the deal. Your brain is not good at calculating risk and probability. That's why many people gamble and buy lottery tickets, which is sad. But if you actually sit down and crunch the numbers and calculate the probability of you winning any substantial amount of money in a slot machine, the probability is once every 400 years. But that's only when you're willing to take time and do the math. But unfortunately, many people just do it for the dopamine rush. Don't do it. You know better. You're well educated. Do the freaking math. Sorry about that. Let's wrap it up. Okay, so Caplan Syndrome, triad of complicated cold worker pneumoconiosis, large cavitating rheumatoid nodules in the lungs, and seropositive rheumatoid arthritis. What do you mean by seropositive? Either rheumatoid factor positive or anti-CCP positive or both. Let me ask you a question. Do you think we first discovered Caplan Syndrome in a coal miner or in a rheumatoid lady? And the answer is coal miner, because coal miners comes coughing and suffering from lung symptoms. So we order an x-ray. But when we first heard about rheumatoid arthritis in history, we only knew about the articular stuff. We wouldn't do an x-ray for a rheumatoid patient. Why? But now we know better. We know that rheumatoid can affect the lungs, so we should do x-rays. But historically speaking, it was first discovered in a coal miner. Please subscribe, join the tribe, hit the bell to get notified. Go to Facebook, I have about 100 or more cases there. Go to Patreon to get my notes and my cases and my audio stuff and cases and notebooks and lots of goodies. Thank you so much for watching. This is Medicosis Perfectionalis, where medicine makes perfect sense. As always, be safe, stay happy, and study hard.